Time to surrender. What's the context here?
This was last year, September. These leaflets, they were dropped maybe a day before the fighting began. You see, the guerrillas there, they'd found themselves a new leader. Charismatic, ex-military. For him, this was no time to surrender. Far from it. In fact, he used that time to rally his people, encourage them to resist, build defenses. Meanwhile, the army was setting up for a major offensive. The attack on Oreo Castro, it was no secret. Of course, after the leaflet drop, IDAP started to pull out of the town. So the little I do know, well, that brings us back to the brother. The one who disappeared. His name was Alexis. He'd volunteered to build a barricade. Town was his home, after all. Sorry, I shouldn't laugh. I was thinking, he even took a local priest's call. I remember I was talking to Father Georgiopoulos, and he was actually very good about the whole thing.
How so?
Something about rich men and camels.
Help me out with some context here. This barricade.
I mean, it was crude, right? A gap between two outcrops of rock, natural bottleneck. The guerrillas hoped to block the road by jamming it with vehicles. As for the vehicles in the barricade, the commission actually linked the plates to a number of locals. Of course, several were still missing after the incident, so the investigation made some assumptions. Hey, just a thought. You remember the earthquakes back then?
Yes, they were quite frequent. Were IDAP at all concerned about that?
Oh, yeah. Any kind of disaster relief on top of what we were dealing with, it would have just about finished itself out. IDAP's neutrality was one thing, but the situation they faced was quite another.
You mean to say even your own vehicles were commandeered?
Nothing like biting the hand that feeds you, huh?
If I understand it, you know about what happened through the brother. Alexis, was it? Did you meet him?
Not directly, but, it's a small town, right? People knew Alexis. After what happened here, I talked to the locals, found out what I could. The rest of what I know is pieced together from the commission report itself.
Actually, that incident report, the evidence you submitted, that's partly why I asked for the interview. I want to gain a human perspective.
Well, that's understandable. I mean, for a humanitarian commission, those reports tend to be,
A little detached, yes. These vehicles, I suppose all of them. After Alexis built the barricade, what then? Did he stay inside the town?
No, that's where the story gets more complicated. The barricade itself was later chained up and set on fire by someone else. I don't know quite who. Alexis, he headed west to lay mines. Anti-tank mines were already in the ground. If there's no pull fuse, and so long as they've not been stacked, they aren't too hard to remove. But Alexis, although he didn't use anti-handling devices, he did create a hybrid minefield.
AT mines. Mixed with APs.
That's it, yeah. He put anti-personnel mines around the anti-tank ones, made clearance all that much harder.
These mines.
They got them when the government's outposts fell into guerrilla hands. Bounding mines. A type... It was important for Alexis to place his mines near the anti-tank ones.
And did he? So, moving on. Where did it...
You know, thinking about it, even if we had a record of where Alexis's mines were, it may not do much good.
No? I thought minefield maps were a key part of your work.
Most folks don't realize, but landmines, they don't stay put. Heavy rain, landslides, keeping a map current ain't so simple. And with all the earthquakes in this region, there's little chance they'd all be in the same place. I don't know. Maybe just gallows humor, but we've got an expression for that. Landmines have legs.
The castle? Why?
He was needed at Guerrilla's base camp.
Okay. His group were running things from up at the castle.
Mm-hmm. And I see what you're getting at. Yeah, Geneva Convention's cultural objects, I think.
Maybe a technical question.
Go ahead.
In these situations, do those involved commonly record the locations of minefields?
That's a tough one. Take this situation, for example. I'm convinced Alexis would have made a record. It's his home, after all. But do we have access to that information? No. And that's the problem. Things, information, people, landmines, they get lost in the fog of war. But that's the thing about landmines. Lost or not, they stick around. They wait to be found.
Do you feel these preparations made a difference?
In the short term, I do, yeah. The barricade held. The government's tanks were knocked out on the road.
And in the long term?
I'd go on, but as you may have heard, it's getting kind of loud here.
By the sounds of it, you've got your hands full.
This'll only take a minute. Be right back.